The main memory that pops out is when we first moved here. My wife and I were newlyweds. We were here before our first anniversary in the same house that we live in now. And the first people who came to welcome us to the neighborhood was Ann and Everett Edwards, who lived across the street. At the time, he was the mayor, so it kind of made us feel like big shots to have the mayor welcome us to town. Downtown was a lot different than what it is now. We had a general store, which was right out of, central casting. Here's a barrel where they were playing checkers, and you buy your steel tub over here and your overalls over here. It was amazing. So we live right up the block. So we live basically in downtown. So a lot of the memories are built here in downtown. Both of my sons worked at the soda shop when it was here, and then they each graduated to Common Grounds. So a lot of friendships made here. Rock Harbor Grill, spent a lot of time in Rock Harbor Grill. Great food, great music, great people. So I've got a real connection and a real love for downtown Apex. So that's, any of my memories really involve that. And it's been fun watching it grow. There was a point where it started growing, and every third storefront was a frame shop, which was kind of weird. That leveled out. Now we have one really cool frame shop. It's just been nice watching it grow. I know that there's probably a lot of people who have spent their full lives here who bristle at where we are right now. But I spent more than half of my life here, and I came from Queens, so this is still not as bad as that. I don't think it will ever be. I'm enjoying it, and I've got high hopes for where we're going as well. So that's really. One memory that really comes back a lot is when we met what turned out to be our best friends who lived right up the street from us. It's one of the ice/snowstorms that we had, and Chatham Street, where we are, it's got a pretty good incline, and that was iced up and snowed up. It was bad enough where the plows couldn't really come through, so that was excellent for the kids in the neighborhood. And we barely knew Cheryl. She was the crossing guard at A.V. Barkham. So she invited us, hey, you wanna come sledding in? So we spent hours and hours just going up and down that hill with them, and that was the beginning of a friendship that's been going on for 8, 9, 10 years now. That's an important memory that does keep popping up. Yeah. Apex is now home because I've been here for most of my life. Moved here when I was 27, and now I'm 59. So, raised 2 kids here. Had a long, successful marriage here. Met a lot of great friends here. Many just within walking distance of where we are right now. Being a part, even if it's just as an audience or a consumer of how Apex has grown, it has its own sort of relationship draw to it. And as I had mentioned earlier, we do, because we could walk to downtown, we do spend a lot of time down here. So we've gotten to know a lot of the business owners, present and past. So that, along with friends and the schools, my wife and I volunteered at A.V. Barkham, Apex Middle, Apex High. So in our own personal ways, we have built ties and strong memories. Even though I haven't really been civic-minded, but yeah. Although now that I've taken, I took the recent Apex Academy course, which I recommend to anybody. I do feel more civically engaged now because I have a better understanding of what goes into keeping this town functioning well. So yeah. So it really does feel like home. And what the extra thing that makes it feel like home is that whenever I go back to home up in Queens or Long Island, I can't wait to get back home. So that helps. I have high hopes for Apex's future. Watching it grow for the last 30 years in what I consider a measured way and a thoughtful way makes me believe that it's going to follow that same path. Especially since over the last several years, that Apex website has just grown with the information that it puts forward, but also the information that it pulls in from the community. I've filled out a lot of questionnaires for the what should we do with downtown and all this. So I think all of that, like, the town is approaching the growth that it knows is coming. It's approaching it well, mindfully. And again, going back to the Apex Academy, every single department that I learned about was full of quality, high caliber people doing an amazing job. So there's no reason to not think that we're going to keep on the path that we are on. It's going to be tough because there's a lot of crazy things that, there's, 100,000 people coming into that one neighborhood, right? That's a lot to handle. But we've got smart people, again, mindful people who are, I believe, approaching it well. So, yeah. So I think what's going to happen is what I've seen happen. Try to keep that small town feel that Apex has while becoming something very different than a small town. That's a hard place to strike a balance. But again, I think that we've been doing it well. So yeah, can't wait. Peak Academy. I remember when it was advertised several years ago. I thought it was very interesting, but it wasn't something that I could do with. It couldn't fit in with my job schedule. So when it came back up this year, I jumped on it, and I was accepted into the class, and it surpassed my expectations entirely. I thought we were just going to get a quick crash course in how to run a town, but we met every other week at the mostly at the town hall facilities, and each department came in with an in-depth presentation, often hands-on. Went to the fire department and they watched them rip apart a car. We did all these really cool things. But you learned about what it takes to make a town of this size function well, which it does. And I've talked about it a lot here, but everybody who works for this town is just knocking it out of the park, and that was really cool to see. And just like I keep mentioning it in this interview, I couldn't stop talking about it with my friends. Like, they were getting sick of hearing me say, "Hey, did you know, how they test the water system? Oh, it's amazing." But it was very cool, and I highly recommend it to anyone who's even a little bit interested in what goes on behind the scenes at Apex. It was a really good time. you get a lot of swag, a lot of Apex branded stuff. My wife was getting sick and tired of me bringing things home, but all in all, it was a great time, really good time.